Oh snaps, I can go live on Facebook now. I am out of jail. Woo! Praise to the Most High God. Okay, thank you, Prosperity Ritual. Thank you, Prosperity Ritual. Hello, you guys. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am back going live. I can be able to go live now. I can do my tarot reads. I can do my hoodoo stuff. I can do my doula content. This is such a blessing. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I am so happy to be here. I am actually testing out honestly, I'm just testing out my Ring camera. I just set it up because I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling like getting them juices going, getting information dispersed out. So I was in Chicago last month. I was in Chicago last month for about 8 days, right? From the 13th through the 21st of June. Okay. And I did a birth. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but it was an incredible birth. It was incredible laboring and assisting her and just finally getting it over with. But it was some things that I do want to talk about. It was some things that I did not like what the healthcare institution had suggested to her and didn't allow her to do, which would have helped her with more pain management and which would have probably helped her do a different type of birth. Especially sticking to her first plan and sticking to her first plan, and then just for her, this is her first time being a mom. So I want to talk about it. So when I got there at 4 in the morning. She actually had been there since 11. Now, when I got there, one of the things that I did not understand was that they admitted her. Didn't really tell her this yet, but reason why I was like, why did they admit her? Reason why, because she was only 1 centimeter. Her contractions was not even five minutes apart. But pause. This is why I advocate and really speak on, soon as you pee on a stick, get a doula. Reason why, because doulas inform you on when you are actually going into, like, when it's like time to go. Because I do recommend highly laboring more at home. And also taking a childbirthing class. It is essential to take that, especially as a first-time mom or an ongoing mom, to keep your mind sharp. So, reason why I like to stay informative when it comes to how they operate in the hospital is because they like to play these little, games. So, I got contacted by one of our mutual co-workers where I used to work at, and she told me that she went to the hospital. So I got up, luckily I got dressed and got dressed and went over there. Luckily I knew what hospital she was going to because she was not answering the phone at first. And then she finally answered the phone when I was almost there, right? So get there, check in or whatnot, and she tells me that she's only 1 centimeter dilated. I'm like, 1 centimeter dilated? I'm like, you could have labored a lot more at home in your comfort of your own home. I could have came to the crib because you was like, right down the street from the hospital, what I'm saying? But anyway, I'll say all that to say, just, do as much laboring at home, and also teaching your partner the pain management skills that they need to learn, because when you are in labor, moms, birthing people, you may have back labor, right? For some of you may have back labor. For some of you, the labor may be more in the front. Learning how to lift that belly and hip squeeze and counter pressure points is essential. I cannot stress that enough, how essential that is on learning those methods for mom, because it takes the load off. It helps her to, if she wants to go without any drugs or whatnot, it helps her to stick to the plan, right? So that was one thing, laboring morally at home, and making sure that they are, when it's time to go. I highly recommend that you download a contraction tracker. Is when they are 5 minutes apart, they last in a minute long, and it's going on for an hour or more. I would say go to the hospital immediately, right? Or when the pain is like, okay, it's getting excruciating, especially if you are live very close to the hospital. Highly recommend that. All right. Next thing, what I didn't like was, okay, so she was on this pain medication. It was called Nobain. This was something new for me. I didn't know what that was, but as you become a doula, you learn things as you go. You learn in a class, but you also learn as you go, right? So I learned, and I'm like, okay, so this only helps for about, I think it said it lasts for about an hour, 2 hours, I believe it lasts. I can't remember how long it lasts or whatnot, but once I find that information out, I'm going to do another video on that, okay? But, so they was, you know, putting that in her IV, and it was taking the edge off, you know? So, next thing I also, not saying that I didn't like it, but next thing that I did, one of the things that pointed out to me was that she wanted to do hydrotherapy, right? I suggested hydrotherapy. So either get in the tub or in the shower. So they had a shower. So they had, you know, in the hospital, they have a detachable one. So I was like, you know what? You made it to 7 centimeters without any epidural. You had maybe some type of, you know, Nobain to take maybe the edge off. How about we try going in the shower? She was like, she was up for it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe water may make her feel a lot better. So I asked her nurse, and I said, hey, is it possible that she can get in the shower? She said, well, let me call her her physician, her doctor or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. She called, and she comes in like 3 minutes later, and she said, yeah, they said no. I'm like, she's only 5 to 6, I think she was like, what, 5 to 7 centimeters with the contraction 7, but without it like 5 or 6. So, and I was just like, okay, why can't she get in the shower? She was like, she didn't say. And so the nurse assumed that the reason why I believe that she said no is because she's not in the facility yet. I'm like, so the doctor's not in the facility yet? This is why you don't want her to, because you're doing that inconvenience for her, but convenience for you. And that's one thing I did not like, is that when it comes to moms who need that hydrotherapy, because if you look up the research, water therapy, hydrotherapy, it takes 50% of the pain away. So it's not as painful. It's very much more manageable, right? So I was just thinking, like, you know, she's been here since 11 o'clock last night. And this was, what, Sunday night, Monday morning, right? She's been here Monday morning. This was around, like, maybe 2, 3 in the afternoon, maybe. I'm guessing, I'm assuming, because I can't remember. And, shit, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Now, me being who I am, I like to be a rebel. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like rules all the time. I like structure, but I just don't like rules. Ain't that funny? But so I was like, I really wanted to bring her in the shower. So after the shower, the lady, she couldn't go in the shower, so she was like, you know what, Chanel? She was telling me and her husband, she was like, you know what, Chanel? I'm gonna just get the epidural. I'm like, you sure? She was like, yeah, this is painful. I've been at it for a long time. I'm tired. I said, okay, it's all of what you want. I'm here to support you. I just want to let you know that you're going to be filled with a lot of multiple drugs when it comes to the epidural. You know what I'm saying? So it could possibly slow things down where you'll be in labor a lot longer. She's like, I understand, but she was like, I just can't do this pain no more, especially with them not letting her do the shower. Like, that really grind my gears, okay? So I was just like, you know what? Let's do it. You know, let's do it. So what we did was she went and got the epidural, and she felt so much better. She was more calm. And honestly, the husband, you know, he was like, I was like, how does it feel seeing your wife like this? He was like, he was scared. You know, he was like, I'm scared because I never seen her in this capacity of pain. And I'm like, that's real, that's honest, you know what I'm saying? It's hard seeing your loved one, especially, and I love her. So it's like, I have loved all of my clients. I love all of them to this day. And it's hard seeing them in that pain. But me as your birth coach, I have to hide my feelings and to still empathize with you. just so you can get through this, you know, to make you, you know, strong. And just because this is your birth journey, this is not mine. So I can't convince you to say, oh, you don't need to do this and da da da. I cannot do that. That's not in my job description. I support your decision on whatever that decision it is. I am just here to make sure you have an educated, choice. Like you have the information on what you're deciding. Because one thing, what I didn't like also at the hospital was that they told her to. They didn't tell her. They told her. Oh, let's try the Pitocin. I'm like, so wait a minute. And I talked to my client. I said, hey, do you know what Pitocin is? I'm talking to my client in front of the nurse. I'm like, do you know what Pitocin is? Do you need an explanation for it? You know, because you can ask that before them just telling you, oh, I'm gonna give you this and that. No, you don't let the. You can't let them like just, how should I say it? You cannot allow people to nicely convince you to do something that you don't know what they're doing. So it's always best to question and ask them to give you an evidence-based information on the alternative of what they're trying to do, on the drug, the method of what they're trying to do. Okay, I wanted to say that because sometimes they just say, oh, I'm going to give you this, and you don't know what that does. You don't know what the side effects, you don't know what it is. We're going to educate our people, okay? Which was fine because the nurse was awesome, actually. She just was, it was just kind of like a programming that she's just used to doing. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm there, when a good doula is there, you can't get used to doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting, and she explained to her what it was, a pit, and the pit was actually slowing things down because epidural slowed things down, and the pit was slowing things down even more because her contractions wasn't as close when she wasn't on it. So she ended up actually turning the pit off. She was like, okay, we'll just see what it can do now. Let's think about it now, all right? Let's think about this. So the baby is on Nobain, was on Nobain, a few shots. She get that every so often. I can't remember the intervals of how often she was getting that. She got an epidural, and then they did Pitocin. Your baby's high. Your baby is high. So yeah, she stayed at 6 centimeters, 6-7 centimeters for a minute. So ended up at around 8 o'clock that Monday night, she ended up getting her water broken. We was like, hey, maybe if they pop the bag, maybe you'll, I'm like, you know, they explained to her like, hey, you know, if we pop the bag, maybe, and I'm like, if this is what you want, it could work, it could not work. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna try that. So she did. And then even while she was on epidural, we were flipping her from side to side. So she wasn't just laying in that bed in one position. She was on side, laying cowgirl. She was actually on cowgirl forward, like she was on top of the peanut ball and sitting on top of it and being able to move her hips and her pelvis. So she was moving around. We was making sure that she was able to move in that bed so she wouldn't be a fall risk, right? Because she couldn't feel nothing from the waist down. So we have to really assist her with her legs. And then we put the peanut ball in between her legs, and that really did help with dilation. Now, I think the reason why they didn't let her get in the shower because the toilet is the dilation station. So when it comes to helping her cervix to expand, so if water and then the dilation station, it probably would have sped up things a little bit further, in my opinion, in my thought process. So I'm thinking like this is why they didn't, that's why she said no. And some of these doctors, they know these things and they just don't want to do it because they want to make sure they're there for the money. Just being honest. So ended up her water being broken. I waited for an hour and a half, see if there's any change. And I'm like, you know what? I've been here since 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. Well, 8 something p.m. I'm going to go home because the next day it was my family members, it was their birthday. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to sleep and change and shower. And then I'll check on you tomorrow and I'll be here for you virtually. She said that was fine. So the next morning, her husband texted me, and he said that she was 9 centimeters dilated. I'm like, perfect. Perfect. You know what I'm saying? But they ended up telling her that this is another thing that made me upset, is that why didn't we give her an ultrasound seeing what the baby's position was? So the baby was head down, but the baby was OP, right? And they ended up telling her some information that was very, like, so false, because she could have still gave birth naturally, but they was on a time clock, y'all. They be on a time clock. Her doctor was a big C-section, famous C-section doctor, gynecologist, and so he was just like, let's just do a C-section, because this the way the baby is laying, it won't come out right. I'm like, well, why didn't y'all say this? And why did y'all tell her, while I'm not there, of course, that she couldn't have an OP baby? Now, I have been to home births. I have had home births, right? And what I definitely see is that when the baby slides out, now, let me explain first before I get into that. OP positioning is when the baby's head is facing the stomach, the mother's stomach, and not her back, right? So when it comes to that, that can be very much a little bit more painful. That's probably why she was not being able to take the contraction was a lot more intense, because the baby was facing the wrong way. Now we want the baby to face the mother's back. The baby was facing the mother's front. So that's why it was a little bit more painful, and why they say, oh, we can't have an OP baby. Now I'm like, the baby can still come out in that way. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So they scared attacked her, and she was like, you know what, Chanel, I'm just tired. And I called her before the C-section. I'm like, do you want to get a C-section? Is this what you want? She said, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just over it. I've been here since Sunday night. Because this is now just Tuesday morning. I'm like, okay, baby. So I support you. Call me when you get out. And I told the husband to stay with her, you know, after, stay with her even after the surgery. But I think at a certain time they have to leave to sew her up or whatnot. I'm not sure how that works. I've been to a C-section, but I haven't been in a room during a C-section session. So, yeah, I just make sure that they take care and watch the baby, but also watch her, you know. So, then he ended up inboxing, texting me and showing me the baby's here. He was born at 6:59 on a Tuesday morning on Tupac's birthday. Okay, so that was a beautiful, but those were some of the things that I just did not really appreciate when it came to the birthing space in these births, okay? Now, that was in Olympia Fields. Now, let's take it back to where I am now in Louisiana. So, I had a birth on June 1st, and then I had a birth on June 7th. And then I had the birth on June 16th. Now, the birth on June 7th, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't as bad as that one, how they convinced her when I wasn't there. But at the same time, it wasn't good either. And I'm actually going to file a complaint. I still need to file that complaint. When I go there, it's at Touro Hospital. It's a gynecologist, 2 gynecologists, OBGs, that I'm going to report. Because they are not really good. They're not good. They're not good. They very much definitely invade their the client's privacy and their wants and their needs. So one thing I didn't like about a lady, I think her name is Miss Green, Kristen Green. And what I don't like about her, was that my client was trying to tell her she didn't want any cervical checks, and then also the nurse gave the woman a cervical check, because when I was giving her back squeezes or whatnot, because she went all natural. She had no monitors really hooked up to her. She was natural. She didn't take no, I'm not going to say natural. Let me say she didn't have any medicine. There we go. Okay. She didn't have no medicine. So she did everything raw, right? So I can tell that the baby was coming by the way she was grunting. I'm like, okay, you sound like you're grunting, and it's also a little bit of blood coming out of you. So I'm going to get I had her partner go get the nurse, and he did. He was like, yeah, she sounded like she about to give birth. I'm like, yep. So Miss Green came in, and one thing that she was like, well, can you not push? I'm just putting my stuff on. And I looked at her, me and the father looked at her like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Like, is you serious? Come here and get your shit on and let's go. Like, why would you tell a mother? And this is how I think some of these teachings and students, their program, they're just not empathetic. And some of them, I think, don't have children. Now, I don't have any children, but I know I've just been around a lot of pregnant women. I've been pregnant myself. So it's like, why would you tell a woman that? I don't know. That just blew me. That was whatever. You know what I'm saying? That just blew me for a whirlwind. So she's trying to get in cow, like on all fours, to cat the cow pose. And she was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm not ready for you. You know, I'm not ready. She was like, well, she was like, well, I'm like, the nurse just said that she's there. Like, the nurse knew how to do a cervical check. And she did it before everybody, you know, if you ever been to the hospital, all the people come in, the pediatrician, the newborn specialist, all these people come in and they're just waiting. Now, some of them seemed like they was independent, but they were just prepping the table. So now one of them, what I like is, they were like, hey, we're just going to prep the table when she's ready. And you know what I'm saying? Have everything out before she goes and before she gives birth. And I like it that way because it's a little bit more peaceful, because now they're just watching. They're not really like talking, moving around, things of that nature. So it's like a little bit more calm. I'm like, okay, cool. So she's trying to get on Cat the Cow. And she's trying to give her, so she was like, wait, no, I'm not ready, stop. And she still keeps trying to touch her. That's one thing I didn't like. Now, she said it again. She was like, stop touching me, can you wait? She was like, I don't want to be touched right now. She said it 3 times. And I'm like, hey, can you listen to the client? Can you listen to the client? Like, can you please listen to the client? You know? So then it got close to crunch time. There was another lady that came in. Now, I'm going to report her too. I'm reporting 2 ladies. So one thing I didn't know, that the baby and the mom was not in distress. Wasn't no health concerns with the baby. Wasn't no health concerns with the mother. So the baby crown, the head is out, shoulders is, now at each contraction, I tell her, bear down, and at this time it's her second baby, because she knows what she's doing now. She trusted somebody, she knows what to do. So why they pull that baby out? I'm like, you don't have to do that. Because it's not necessary. You don't have to do that. The baby wasn't in no dysocial, none of that. They was like, yes, we do. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to do that. I kept saying that, and I ain't gonna say this on live, no. But anyway, so they pulled the baby out, and she did tear it like a small bit, but it wasn't a major tear. But I'm like, they didn't have to pull him out at all. I was pissed about that, right? That's 2 of the things that I was like kind of upset about, with them touching her, with them having to keep going up, because think about it now. When the water breaks, when they break the water, and just with anything, just with them doing cervical checks in general, each time they stick their hands up there in the sacral portal, they're causing more higher risk of an infection, right? So once you get an infection, they say you want a time limit. They got to give you these antibiotics. Then they want to be like, well, then if you get a fever, now they don't want the baby to be sick. Now they want to give you a C-section. That's their slightly navigating to get things done in an operating sense, right? So just as doulas and also as parents and families who are just growing their families, just be mindful of what they're doing. Just be mindful of what they're doing, you know. Be more educated. Take a childbirthing class. Take a childbirthing class. Please take a childbirthing class. Hire a suitable doula for your needs. Okay? Hire a doula for your needs. Okay? But the last one on June 1st, that one was, the only thing that I didn't like about that one, it was two things. One, we had the same OBGYN that pulled the last one from the 7th. I'm very familiar with her because she was there a couple times with certain births that I did out here, and she has a pattern of doing the same thing and stitching people up. Now this time, she also pulled my client's baby out as well, and she had a deeper tear because the baby was full. Now this mom, she did get epidural. She had this mom had high blood pressure. Her blood pressure was going up, so they gave her MAG, which is magnesium sulfate. And that is medicine to keep your blood pressure down, right? Now hers was a little skyrocket. Hers was skyrocket. That bottom number was high. The bottom number was super high. They were kind of high, but I think because she just had a lot on her mind, and then just being also in a hospital setting, sometimes it's not subconsciously, it's not as comforting as you would like it to be, right? So what I did was I rubbed her feet, you know what I'm saying? We played some, calming music down, and it went down a little bit, but she needed a little bit more assistance. But it doesn't make it any better when they keep coming in the room, right? So, that she just couldn't have no time to herself, to kind of regulate her blood pressure. So she got the MAG. And with MAG, once you have it, you have to be on it for like, I think 24 hours, something like that. And once they take you off, you can't get up. I don't think you have to be on it 24 hours, but I think that you have to not be sitting, like standing up or moving around for 24 hours, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Whoever watches this video, I'm all good for critique me. So after that, and then the first thing I didn't like was I asked one of the charge nurse, I asked her for a blanket because my client was cold, a warm blanket. She didn't come in there until like after almost 20-30 minutes later, 15 minutes later. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, did you get, and then she snapped, I'm like, hey, did you forget about the blanket? And she was like, and she kind of snapped at me a little bit. Yeah, because I asked for one. I don't know what happened with that. That's what I said. I'm like, I asked for one. I don't know what happened with that. She was a charge nurse, but it was another person coming. I'm like, hey, can we get a warm blanket? Because I asked for one, but it hasn't came around. And she sat at me. She was like, I'm gonna get it in a minute. I'm gonna get it. Something she said, but I wasn't really paying attention to what she said because the other two people who was there, like my client and her friend, they knew that she snapped off on me. I just paid no mind because do what you say you're gonna do. Because first you want to be funny when I'm looking for the warm blankets. Because I didn't tell her I didn't tell nobody what I'm looking for. Because usually they have like a storage where you can just go get a warm blanket. That's how it is in Illinois. So I'm thinking Louisiana maybe got the same setup, and they don't. And also, they didn't have any heating pads. Like the pop bags, they didn't have that. I'm like, what? They was like, that's got to be requested. Like, that's got to. I'm like, are you serious? Those heating pads are awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, pop it and it get hot. They got also the cold one. You pop it and it get cold. So I was like, okay. Different strokes for different folks. So that was the only two things with that birth that bothered me. I was just concerned about her blood pressure, and that was really it. Other than that, she was fine. The baby was fine. She's beautiful. I just talked to them like the other day. They're doing amazing. So I'm glad. I'm so glad. I got to talk to the other one that's in Chicago again, but I'm going to go to Chicago on the 10th. So I'm going to probably either try to go see her or just FaceTime her and let her know where how she doing, ask how she doing. So, but yeah, it was a great event. Last month was heaven and hell. It was heaven and hell, and it caused me to kind of be behind on some of my work here at Dunola, and I'm like taking accountability for that. I'm working on better with my time management, so getting rid of these unhealthy habits that I do have. So I'm proud of myself. Dunola's doing phenomenal things for me besides birth work. It's mental strength, it's emotional strength, it's getting around, it's resources. It's just incredible. I love them so much. Like, thank you, God, for putting me in alignment with Dunola and helping me also with my company, Ancient Lives Reborn. So yeah. I just wanted to come on here and talk. I know I talked for a little long time. I spit out a lot of information at once, but that's just how my setup is. That's just how I am sometimes, so I won't forget. Yeah. So I'm so thankful to be back on live. Thank you, Facebook. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much. Also, I did do a Bay Leaf Prosperity ritual yesterday. The candle is still burning. So if you would like to be join into the Bay Leaf Prosperity ritual, you can. Just inbox me. It's $10 to get joined, and I will put you in. All right? So that is it. That is all. And you all have a great Friday. Have a great 4th. Actually, it's another Juneteenth. You feel me? So celebrate our freedom even louder and prouder. And take care of yourself. Eat well with your people. Eat well with your soul tribe, your family, your friends, everybody. Strangers, friendly, kind, safe strangers, okay? And don't get too messed up. Love your liver a lot more than you think, please. And eat really good food. Pray over your food. Y'all have a great day.